Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Global Speakers Advantage podcast. My name is Oliver Nshom. Today, we're going to be talking about a very, very important subject. And the topic we have today for our conversation is when plans fall apart, finding purpose in an unexpected circumstances. So that is it for today. When plans fall apart, finding purpose in an unexpected circumstances. So, before we dive in, let us know where you're watching us from. Uh, is it on LinkedIn? Is it on Facebook? Is it on YouTube? Kindly indicate on the comment section where you are watching us from, even as we dive deeper. And I will strongly encourage you to get your pen and your notepad or your jotter and be ready to write because um, I believe that the conversation today is going to be so inspiring and so transformational that you need to write down some things that will matter. So, if you're just joining in, this is the Global Speakers Advantage podcast with Oliver Nshom, and today we're looking at when plans fall apart, finding purpose in an unexpected circumstances. So if you're joining us from LinkedIn, just indicate on the comment section. If you're joining us from YouTube, kindly indicate, or if you're joining us from Facebook, indicate. And of course, let us know which country you're watching us from. All right. We'll be so happy to know the country you are watching us from. So when plans fall apart, finding purpose in an unexpected circumstances. What if I tell you that the opposite of success is not failure, but rather failure is part of success? So the opposite of success is not failure, but failure is part of success. Why do people fail, or why are people afraid of failure? Um, there are a lot of reasons why people are afraid of failure, and one of the reasons why people are afraid of failure is because of personal expectations. When you are expecting a lot from yourself, when you're expecting a lot from the investment you have done in the business you are into it, in your career, and the moment you're not getting the result and you're only getting failure, you really become so scared of failure. And that's one of the reasons why people are so scared of failure. They're scared of failure because of they're scared of failure because of their personal expectations. Personal expectations can make you to be so afraid of failure. Number two, the second reason why people could be afraid of failure is that there is what we call peer pressure. You know what I mean? Like cultural peer pressure, occupational peer pressure, religious peer pressure. Peer pressure from parents, from supervisors, from guidance, from colleagues, peer pressure everywhere. And that's one of the reasons why people are afraid of failure. So, with all of the peer pressure from the government and from any other person, they are not ready to fail. And one of the reasons too why people are afraid of failure is because they already set some standards. They have set some standards and they have invested a lot in what they are doing, and they are just afraid that what if in case I don't achieve my goals that I've set this year and I've worked so hard for them. And that's one of the reasons why people are afraid of failure. But again, we don't need to be afraid of failure. We always need to learn from failure. And the real failure is when you refuse to learn from failure. That's the real failure. When you refuse to learn from failure. So what's my point? Thomas Edison is one of the legendary innovator and inventor who has ever lived on planet Earth. And according to studies, Thomas Edison failed not once, not twice, not thrice, not even 4 times, not 5 times, not 6 times, not 7 times, not 8 times, not 9 times, not 10 times, not 1,000 times, not 2,000 times, but 10,000 times. He failed in his attempt to discover the light bulb. And guess what? When Thomas Edison was asked in an interview, uh, how and why do you have to fail that much before you finally found the solution? He said something that I will never forget. I was not there when he said that, but that is what my research tells me. He said, I never failed. There were just other ways from which I had to go through in order to discover the light bulb. And so that's the right mindset, that's the right attitude, and that's the right perspective or the right lenses to look at failure. Look at failure from learning from it and not the end product. And so Thomas Edison himself did not say he failed. He didn't say that he failed. He said he did not fail, but he actually went through different ways that made him to become successful. So I want to think about that. So failure is not actually the end result, but as a way to the end, which is of course the success you're looking for. And so let's reframe success. How can you reframe success? Now, for us to reframe success, we need to see success as an opportunity to invent. Number one, success is, you can see success as the end of your life or an opportunity to invent. And if you see success as an opportunity to invent, therefore you have to learn from success and ask yourself, what is in this thing that has happened to me that I can do something better for myself and for mankind? Number two, see success as an opportunity to innovate. Ask yourself, I was very fascinating when the astronauts Sonny and Wilmore, June 2024, they were on a mission to space. The mission was expected to be only for 8 days. But guess what happened? The NASA trip arrived safely, but again, the system that took them could not bring them back because there was a fault in the engine. Somehow there was a fault somewhere. And guess what? They realized that they cannot just come back at the day they're supposed to come back, the time they were supposed to come back. And so, guess what? The boat came back alone and they had to stay. And so the idea was that they were going to repair whatever leakages before it goes back to get them. And because of that, the NASA team delayed, and engineers the delayed in the repairing of this system. And guess what? At the end of the day, they could not meet up with the time. And because of that, SpaceX uses own engines to get right to the space to bring back this gentleman, to bring back, Sonny and Wilmore. But the most interesting thing is not that. The most interesting thing is that when I followed the interview, when Michael was interviewing, Wilmore and Sonny while they were in space, they said something so interesting. I think Wilmore was the one who said this thing. He said, since we have been astronauts, we have been prepared for this. It is our job. And they kept insisting that they were not stranded. They were not stranded. They were not stranded. People said they were stranded. They kept saying they were not stranded because they had been taught, they signed for it. Anything can happen when you involve yourself in the International Space Station. When you are in the International Space Station, the ISS, anything can happen with the rockets. Anything can happen. And guess what? And it happened. And they said, we signed for this and we are not stranded because they prepared for it. So they had some emergency bags put together, arranged together. And so what's my point? My point is that there is always a way to reframe failure. And so many people were trying to have interviews with them to check how they're doing and all, and they were really fine, from what they said. They said they were fine. And I believe they were fine. And so they were busily working. So because of the delay they had in space, they did not just get stuck and they were trying to figure out how to survive. They got busy. They were busy. They were not just there idling. They were busy right there in the rocket. They were busy. And that is what I mean by innovating whenever that failure happens. So how can you convert failure into an opportunity to innovate? And that's exactly what these astronauts did. It was amazing. It was phenomenal. So you could also reframe failure as innovation, instead of failure. So instead of looking at failure, everybody's like, this is failure, this is failure. And you're like, no, this is not failure, but this is an innovation. Have you thought about that? So think about that. And the one of the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to reframing failure is that you can reframe failure, to see failure as a way to relearn or an opportunity to relearn. You can see failure as an opportunity to relearn. Now, what that means is that when you fail, for instance, if you're building a house and the first step was a mess, or it breaks down, or it collapses, then you should not see it as failure. Just see it as an opportunity to learn. What happened is that the materials you used for the first phase were not good materials, right? The brakes were not good ones. And so you just have to learn that, okay, this will not work. Go get different materials, go get different brakes, and come and put in. And that's when it might likely work. And why getting different materials? Maybe you're using rod 6. Now you're using rod 12, rod 10. Why using rod 10 and 12? Now, instead of using rod 6 you were using before, it's because you notice that rod 6 cannot sustain that building. And you're going for rod 12 or 10 because you learn that rod 6 is not the best for that particular project. And so by that, you are relearning. So you can reframe failure as an opportunity to invent, as an opportunity to innovate, and as an opportunity to relearn. And so anytime you fail in anything you're doing, ask yourself, how can I use this opportunity to reframe it as a chance to renovate, to invent, and to innovate? At the same time, relearning. So I want to think about that. Think about that. Because failure is never the end, but it's always a part of the process to become successful. And like you just heard the story of Thomas Edison I shared here, how he failed. Everybody knew that he has failed over 10,000 times, but he said he did not fail. He didn't actually fail, right? He only tried 10,000 times. And that doesn't mean that he failed. And that's how he had it. He finally had it. And that's why today we're enjoying the light bulb everywhere around the world. He saw it as an opportunity to learn new strategies, new ways to scale up, as an opportunity to invent, and as an opportunity to innovate. And that is it, my friend. And so what's my point? In my office, one of the frames on the wall, I love the message on the frame. So the message on the frame says that when you are dancing and happen to fall, take the falling as a style of the dance. Right? Did you hear what I said? When you are dancing and you fall in the course of dancing, take that fall as a style in the dancing. It sounds very interesting. So that's so powerful. So that means that as whatever you're doing, anytime you mess up, you miss the point, always take that as a style of the dancing. What we're doing here is that I'm not promoting failure. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that you should go and fail. I'm not saying that you should go and do things that will make you to fail. No, if you do that, you might not recover from that process. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that you should go and be living a reckless life, doing whatever thing you want to do and fail, and then take it as an opportunity to reframe it into innovation, inventing, and learning. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that be careful, give all your best. And if along the way something happened and you slide and you fall, you have to see what are the lessons you can learn from that experience. That's what I'm saying. And so you have to be so careful that you don't fall. But if you tried 9,999 times like Thomas Edison, always see it as an opportunity to invent, to innovate, and to learn. That's what I'm saying. And so by that, if we begin to see failure from that perspective, life would never ever remain the same. And I want to say this, right? I want to say this. Um, oh, I'm excited that my wife and my kids are watching. That's pretty good. Okay. So, and they're extending greetings. Hi. Okay. I want to take this opportunity to say hi. Kevin J. Brown is my very good friend from Georgia, the state of Georgia in the United States. Using failure for innovation. Yes, confirmation for me. Okay. Pretty good, bro. Thank you. And John Joel, thank you so much, Joel. Noel, my very good friend. Um, Kevin, failure is not the end, but a part of the process. I love that. Yes, that is the real success. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Noel. Thank you, my dear wife, Laura, and Peace, Miracle, and all of you for watching. So, I'm not propagating. I'm not trying to advocate that it should fail. I don't want it to fail, by the way. But if you fail, always see that as an opportunity to learn. You know what I mean. And when you are learning, you just have to humble yourself and really learn, because at times there are some failures that can cost you a lot, but always see how you can learn from that experience. Now, where was I heading to? I want to talk about something very exciting. um there is this guy who wrote the Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is one of the greatest authors that have ever lived on earth. In fact, I read his book when I was in some years ago, and I've never forgotten some of the lessons I learned from that book. And that book changed my mind. And in the book, somewhere he said something so powerful. He said, in every adversity, in every challenge, in every failure that happened to you or that occur in your life, there is always an equal and opposite good to it. Now, what I mean to you watching me right now is that when anything happened to you, don't always see it as bad. You know what I mean? Like, always try to see, why is this happening now? Why me? And don't criticize yourself. Ask yourself, what can I gain? What can I benefit from this experience? And so maybe you're preparing to attend a meeting. You as a speaker like myself, you're preparing for a keynote, and out of sudden something happened that stopped you from going to speak in that event. Right? Something just happened that stops you from going to speak in that event. And you're like, oh my gosh, why this now? Why just at the time I wanted to go and speak in this event? My friend, don't ask this question, because in every adversity, in every good that happens to you, there's always a good opposite that if you could just look it keenly, you'll be so excited. You'll be so excited that that thing happened. So when you have that mindset or that framing, you begin to see anything that happens to you as good. I'm a man of faith. So my Bible tells me in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, which it is a scripture I actually love so much, that all things work together for the good of those who are called according to the will of God and his purpose. So that is cardinal. That's so powerful. So if everything works for your good, and because you are called according to the will of God and for his purpose for your life, it means that there is never a day anything bad is going to happen to you. Oh my God. This is an interesting one. There is never a day something bad is going to happen to you. Therefore, anything that happens to you is good. Whether it is bad or is good or is great or is wonderful or is excellent, anything that happens to you is good. And so you begin to succeed in life, and my wife used to call me unstoppable. When you become unstoppable in life, when you see everything that happens to you as for your good. Can somebody just comment on the comment section? Everything happens for me, and everything that happens to me is for my good. That's so powerful. So you begin to become unstoppable when you begin to see life from the perspective of anything that happens to you is for your good. Comment on this comment section. Right. Anything that happened for me is for my good. Write it down. So that's so powerful. And so it means that if Thomas Edison could try 10,000 times until he get the light bulb, or until he got the light bulb, and if Napoleon, he could say that any adversity and any failure you experience or encounter, there is always an equal and opposite good to that failure, means that there is nothing like failure. And like I said when I started, failure is not the opposite of success, but part of success. So show me somebody who has succeeded in what he's doing or in what he wanted to do, and I will show you somebody who has failed. I will show you somebody who has failed. And so, my friend, I don't want you to beat yourself, to kill yourself, to imprison yourself, to ridicule yourself, to hurt yourself. You know, when your project is not getting the result that you want it to get, just see it as an opportunity to reframe it, and then innovate, relearn, and invent. And that, when you have that mindset, that success cannot happen without failure, you becomes unstoppable. You becomes unstoppable. And so anytime you fail, see it as an opportunity to reframe that failure to success. When I started my career in 2010, I was not a good speaker, honestly, and I was terrible. I was very terrible, and I've been embarrassed on the stage directly so many times, not once, not twice, not so many times. There are situations people, they trusted me with the presentation, and I started the presentation well, and I messed up in the body of the presentation or at the end of the presentation. There are situations where I have disappointed my audience. Like I really messed up, and I was like, I want to disappear from the stage and just appear in my house. And I've done presentations and I've done events where at the end of the event, my head is down. I don't want anybody to see my eyes because I know I knew I did not do well. And those are instances I failed. But the good thing is that I never allowed all of that to stop me from becoming the global speaker I wanted to become. So I was always seeing the failure as, what can I learn from this embarrassment? What can I learn from this challenge? What can I learn from this failure? What can I learn from this setback? What can I learn from this challenge? And I kept on innovating and inventing and learning and unlearning and learning. And that is exactly why I am doing what I'm doing today. Like today, I have a couple of public speaking schools for kids, for adults, and all of that. Praise God for that. But it was because I failed. And when I was failing, I was not seeing it as failure. I was counting it as success, because there's no way you can get where you're going to if you don't fail. Let's take the case of a toddler. When she's learning how to work, what happens? First step, he falls or she falls. Second step, she may fall again and again and again. At times, the child will fall and break the mouth and hit the leg, hit the head. Blood could come out. That's dangerous. But again, the moment the child stops trying to work, the child will never work. So I need to see yourself as a child who is trying to work, and then you're asking yourself, should I stop trying after I've fallen? No. Should I try to? Should I just say I don't want to work again because you're afraid to fall again? No. And so I know you may be having peer pressure, pressure from family, from culture, from relations. You may be having high expectations, but again, just humble yourself and keep learning, keep growing, asking questions, making improvements, making progress, and keep on going. And I bet you, my friend, not long from now, you will congratulate yourself that I am happy I did not give up. You will appreciate yourself and say, I am happy I did not give up. So I was discussing with a friend of mine yesterday after she did a training in Florida. And so she was flying back to Minnesota, and she was just sharing with me. I inquired, and she was like, the training was tough, man. And to the extent that she said some people, one person left the hall when she was training. And I was like, okay, that could be very tough. You know what it means? Like you are training, you're speaking, and somebody is leaving the hall because of what you're saying and all of that. That can be so challenging and very, very tough. And so, as professional speakers in the industry, in the national speakers, it is our duty to always encourage each speaker, even when we meet at the national speakers during our chapter meetings and all of that. So I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. So, and one thing that she actually said that stood out, that I was very, very, that struck my mind was like, she was like, I'm proud of myself that I did not give up, that I went through the presentation and I gave it my best. So at times, you just have to, for you to get to that level of saying, I am proud of myself that I did not give up, you need to celebrate failure, not to stay in the failure, but to see it as an opportunity to innovate, invent, and relearn. And when you start doing that, my friend, your life will never remain the same. People will laugh at you, people will mock at you, people will ridicule you, people will say mean things about you. But guess what? At the end of the day, you will emerge very successful, just like Thomas Edison and just like any other person who has strived in the midst of failure. And so that is it for our today's conversation. I'm so proud of you, and thank you so much for showing up for this 20, 27, 30 minutes. I believe that this has helped you, and if it has helped you in any way, why not share with somebody whom this could be as a therapy, this could be as a medication, maybe to what he or she is going through. Maybe you have a friend who has failed in so many times, who is going through stress, depression, trauma, who feels like life is happening to him or to her, and she's believing and trusting to happen to life. So maybe if that is the kind of friend you have, maybe you should just share this with that person, and I bet you maybe this could be the greatest gift you could give to that friend today. So today I've talked about failure, and I was looking at when plans fall apart. When plans fall apart, finding purpose in unnecessary happenings, and when plans fall apart. So thank you so much for being there. I really appreciate your time. So that is it. God bless you, and I'm looking forward to see you on Tuesday. Tuesday is another opportunity for us to have a conversation. So if you come and watch this podcast after we're done with the live, let us know what you love us to talk about next time, if that is something you want to do. And my name is Oliver Nshom, and this was the Global Speakers Advantage podcast. So as speakers, when you make mistakes on stage, when you mess up, don't give up. Keep on keeping on and keeping on and keeping on. So see you at the top, my friend. Cheers. Bye.